There is a kind of peace that exists only before disaster, not the silence that follows survival, not the stillness left behind when the screaming has ended. This is something gentler, more innocent. It is the peace of a world that has never imagined its own ending. 66 million years ago, morning arrives without ceremony. No warning is written across the sky. No voice moves through the forests. No creature wakes with the knowledge that it has opened its eyes for the final time. The sun rises. The rivers continue toward the sea. And an age that has ruled the earth for more than 150 million years begins its last day. Forget the world you know. Forget roads, cities, borders, and names. Forget the familiar shape of the continents. They do not belong here, not yet. Take one slow breath and open your eyes. The first thing you feel is the heat. It settles over everything like an invisible weight. The air is dense with moisture, warm enough to cling to your skin. Every breath carries the scent of mud, resin, flowers, stagnant water, and living things hidden beyond sight. You are standing on a vast floodplain in a land that will one day become part of North America. But there are no highways here. No farms, no distant lights, no human sound of any kind. The world is greener, wetter, and wilder. Flowering plants crowd the edges of shallow streams. Ferns spread beneath tall conifers. Broad leaves overlap in thick layers, each one shining beneath the morning light. The forest does not feel empty, it feels occupied. Every shadow appears to belong to something. Every branch trembles with unseen movement. Tiny mammals remain hidden beneath roots and fallen wood, their bodies low to the ground, their lives built around caution. Insects move through the damp air. Turtles rest beside dark water. Small birds pass between the trees. Living dinosaurs already carrying feathers toward a future no one can see. But none of them rule this world. The rulers are coming. You hear them before you see them. A low rhythm travels through the earth. Not a roar, not thunder, footsteps. Each one presses into the mud with enough force to send small ripples across the surface of a nearby pool. The vegetation begins to move. Branches bend, leaves shake loose. Then the first animal steps into view, an Edmontosaurus. Its long body moves with an ease that seems impossible for something so large. Its broad beak tears vegetation from the branches while its powerful tail balances every step. Another follows, then another. The herd emerges slowly from the forest until the floodplain is filled with them. Adults move along the outside. Younger animals remain close to the center. The smallest struggle to keep pace, their feet sinking into wet ground still marked by the passage of creatures that came before them. They communicate in deep calls that travel through the morning mist. Some sounds are too low for human ears to fully hear. You feel them instead. A vibration in the chest. A language carried through bone, water, and earth. No human being will ever know exactly what these animals are saying. A warning, perhaps. A call to remain together. A mother answering her young. A herd is not simply a gathering of bodies. It is memory moving as one. It remembers where water can be found, where the ground becomes dangerous, where predators wait. The knowledge does not belong to one animal. It lives between them. For generations, that knowledge has been enough. It has guided them through drought, flood, injury, hunger, and death. But there is no memory for what is coming. No instinct shaped by evolution can prepare a creature for the sky itself becoming a weapon. The herd reaches the river. The first adults stop at the bank, studying the water before lowering their heads. They are cautious for good reason. The river belongs to more than those who drink from it. Dark shapes lie beneath the surface, armored bodies, patient eyes, predators that require no pursuit, only a single mistake. One young Edmontosaurus approaches too quickly. An adult blocks its path with a gentle movement of the body. The message is immediate: wait, watch, live. For now, it obeys. Farther along the bank, a different shape moves between the trees. 3 horns, a heavy skull, a broad shield of bone rising behind the head. A Triceratops steps into the light. It is not searching for conflict. Most powerful animals rarely are. Its strength exists as a warning written into every line of its body. The horns point forward. The shoulders are thick with muscle. The mouth ends in a hard beak built to tear through dense vegetation. A smaller Triceratops follows beside it, young enough that its horns have not yet reached their full length. It stays close. The adult pauses often, listening, watching. The floodplain may appear peaceful, but peace in this world is never the absence of danger. It is only the brief distance between one danger and the next. Somewhere beyond the trees, another animal is watching them. You do not see it at first, only a break in the pattern, a darkness that does not belong to the forest. Then a head moves between the trunks, large, heavy, perfectly still. Tyrannosaurus rex. Its name will one day become more famous than the names of kings. But here, it needs no name. The forest already understands what it is. The predator remains partly hidden, measuring distance, movement, and weakness. It does not roar. Real hunters rarely announce themselves before the attack. Its senses are tuned to details you would miss. The direction of the wind, the rhythm of the herd, the uneven step of an injured animal. The moment when fear becomes disorder. Its eyes face forward, giving it depth perception. Its skull is built to withstand tremendous force. Its jaws can drive thick teeth through flesh and bone. Yet even this animal, one of the most powerful predators ever to walk the land, survives by judgment. A failed attack wastes energy. An injury can become a death sentence. Power does not remove risk. It only changes its shape. The Tyrannosaurus waits. The herd drinks. The Triceratops watches the tree line. And for several long moments, the entire world seems balanced on a decision that has not yet been made. Then the wind changes. The predator's scent crosses the water. Every head rises. The reaction moves through the herd faster than sound. Bodies tighten. Young animals press inward. Adults turn toward the trees. The Tyrannosaurus steps forward. Mud folds beneath its feet. The Triceratops lowers its head. Two survivors of an ancient world face one another across the riverbank. Neither knows that their struggle no longer matters. The predator may kill. The prey may escape. A calf may survive. A hunter may go hungry. All of it feels urgent because life can experience only the present. But above them, beyond the blue atmosphere, the future has already changed. An asteroid is moving toward Earth. It is not alive. It carries no hatred, no hunger, no understanding. It is simply matter obeying gravity. A fragment of the early solar system formed long before forests covered the continents, long before dinosaurs took their first steps, long before the first animal ever looked upward and mistook the sky for something permanent. It is roughly 10 to 15 kilometers across, large enough to bury a modern city beneath its shadow. It travels at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, fast enough that the final distance will disappear in moments. Its arrival will release energy beyond any storm, earthquake, wildfire, or volcanic eruption witnessed by the animals below. Yet from the ground, the sky remains clear, the sun is warm. The river continues to move, and life returns to its immediate concerns. The Tyrannosaurus does not attack. The Triceratops does not retreat. For reasons that will never be known, the predator turns away. It disappears into the forest with the same silence in which it arrived. The herd slowly relaxes. The young begin to drink again. Danger has passed, at least the kind of danger they understand. You walk farther along the river. The mud preserves every step around you. Three-toed tracks cross one another in layers. Small prints vanish beneath larger ones. Drag marks from tails cut through the soft ground. The surface is a record of countless lives, written without words. Most of these marks will disappear by evening. Water will cover them. Wind will dry them. Other animals will destroy them. But a few may survive, buried beneath sediment, compressed under layer after layer of earth, waiting for millions of years until another species uncovers them and tries to reconstruct this morning from stone. A footprint will remain. The animal will not. That is the strange mercy of the fossil record. It preserves evidence, not experience. It can reveal the length of a stride, the shape of a tooth, the age of a bone. But it cannot preserve the warmth of the air, the sound of the herd, the attention in a mother's eyes, the fear before a predator appears, the ordinary beauty of being alive when extinction is still unimaginable. The sun rises higher, mist withdraws from the water. The floodplain brightens, revealing movement in every direction. A group of smaller dinosaurs darts between the ferns. Feathers cover parts of their bodies, catching brief flashes of light. They are alert, restless, quick enough to vanish almost as soon as they are seen. Above them, something immense crosses the sun. A giant pterosaur glides overhead. Its wings stretch wider than the height of a small building. It barely moves them. Warm air does most of the work, lifting the animal above the forest as it searches the land below. For a moment, it seems to own the sky. But nothing owns the sky. Not truly. The sky is only borrowed space. And today, something else is coming to claim it. A breeze passes across the floodplain. The leaves turn. The river darkens beneath the moving shadow of clouds. Several animals stop feeding. Not all at once. Not with panic. Only a pause. A slight lifting of the head. A moment of attention directed toward nothing visible. Perhaps they feel a change in pressure. Perhaps they hear a distant vibration. Perhaps it means nothing at all. Animals respond to countless signals, most of which leave no trace in stone. Science can recover bones. It cannot recover every instinct that once moved through them. Still, the pause feels different. The pterosaur changes direction. The Edmontosaurus herd begins moving away from the river sooner than expected. The adult Triceratops guides its young toward thicker vegetation. Across the water, birds rise suddenly from the trees. The morning continues, but the rhythm has shifted, only slightly, like a familiar song played with one note out of place. You look toward the sky. There is nothing there. Nothing the eye can separate from sunlight and distance. The approaching asteroid is still too far away to appear as the end of a world. For now, it is only a point moving through darkness. But darkness is deceptive. It makes distant things appear harmless. The object has crossed millions of kilometers without sound. It has passed through cold emptiness, untouched by wind, rain, or life. And now gravity is pulling it faster. Earth is no longer simply somewhere ahead. Earth has become its destination. Below, a young Edmontosaurus lingers at the edge of the herd. It turns its head toward the river, toward you. Its eye is dark and reflective. For one impossible moment, 66 million years disappear. It is not a fossil, not a reconstruction, not an illustration in a book. It is alive, breathing, watching. Its heart is beating beneath skin and muscle. It expects hunger later, sleep after darkness, another morning after that. Every living thing carries this expectation. Tomorrow is never promised, but life is built as though it were. The young animal turns and follows the herd into the trees. Branches close behind it, its footsteps fade. Soon, even the path it took is difficult to see. The forest swallows the moment, the day moves forward. And high above this peaceful world, beyond sight, beyond instinct, beyond warning, the ancient traveler continues to fall. There will be no negotiation, no escape, no understanding. Before this day is over, the sky will burn brighter than the sun. The ground will move like water. Forests will ignite far beyond the horizon, and the age of giants will begin to die. But not yet. For a little longer, the river flows. The herds remain together. The young stay close to their mothers. The predator waits in the shade, and Earth holds the final morning of an entire world without knowing how precious it is. By midday, the heat has changed. It is no longer the gentle warmth of morning. It presses down from above and rises from the ground below, trapping every living thing between two invisible walls. The floodplain shimmers beneath the sun. Water retreats from the edges of shallow pools. Mud begins to crack. Insects gather in dense clouds above the river, moving like smoke without fire. The herds travel deeper into the forest, following paths their ancestors used long before any of them were born. The paths are not marked. They do not need to be. Memory lives in movement. A turn beside a fallen tree, a narrow crossing between dark pools, a slope where the earth remains firm after rain. The animals know these places because generations have survived by knowing them. But today, the old paths feel unfamiliar. The forest has become restless. Leaves tremble even when the wind stops. Birds abandon branches without warning. Small creatures disappear into burrows and refuse to return. The changes are subtle, so subtle that each one can be dismissed. A shift in pressure, a distant storm, the approach of a predator. Nature is always moving, always adjusting, always speaking in signs. The problem is that no creature knows which signs matter until it is too late. A group of small mammals huddles beneath a web of roots near the riverbank. They are not impressive, not by the standards of this age. Their bodies are covered in coarse fur, their eyes are large, their movements quick and nervous. They survive in the spaces giants ignore, beneath logs, inside burrows, under cover of darkness. They eat insects, seeds, eggs, and whatever else the world leaves behind. For now, they are background life, small enough to be overlooked, weak enough to be hunted by almost everything. Yet the future belongs to creatures like these, not because they are stronger, not because they are more intelligent, because survival is rarely a reward for greatness. Sometimes it is a reward for being small enough to hide. One of them lifts its head, its nose moves rapidly, the others freeze. There is no predator nearby, no scent of blood, no movement above. Still, they retreat deeper into the darkness. Instinct does not explain itself, it only acts. Far beyond the forest, the sea is beginning to change. The surface remains calm near the shore, but deeper currents shift in ways no animal can see. Marine reptiles move through warm water. Schools of fish turn as one body. Ammonites drift beneath the waves, their spiral shells carrying a design older than the dinosaurs themselves. Coral reefs spread across the shallows. Life fills every depth. For millions of years, the oceans have survived changes in temperature, sea level, and chemistry. They appear eternal. But the asteroid will not strike the land alone. It will strike a connected world. Air, water, stone. Every system will carry the violence forward. The impact will occur near a region that one day will be called the Yucatan Peninsula. The target is almost impossibly destructive. Beneath the shallow sea lie carbonate and sulfur-bearing rocks. When the asteroid arrives, much of that material will not remain stone. It will be crushed, melted, vaporized, and thrown high into the atmosphere. The location matters. A different ocean, a different continent, a different layer of rock, and perhaps life would face a different future. History often appears inevitable only after it has happened. Before that moment, it is a collection of accidents, a few degrees of angle, a few seconds of time, a few kilometers of distance, enough to separate one world from another. The asteroid is closer now, still far beyond the atmosphere, still silent, but no longer alone in its journey. Earth's gravity pulls at it. The planet reaches outward without intention, bending the traveler's path and increasing its speed. There is no steering, no correction, only descent. The object does not fall like a stone from a cliff. It approaches like a moving mountain. Its surface is ancient and scarred, its shape uneven. Light touches one side while the other remains in darkness. For most of its existence, nothing has changed. No rain has softened it. No roots have broken it. No ocean has worn it smooth. It carries the untouched violence of space. Below, the animals continue to live by rules that are about to become useless. A pair of predators follows the Edmontosaurus herd from a distance. They do not hurry. The weak eventually fall behind. This is how the world works. Patience becomes food. Exhaustion becomes death. The herd knows they are there. Every adult feels the presence at its back. The young are pushed toward the center. The pace increases. Branches snap beneath heavy bodies. The forest fills with deep coals. One animal limps. Its left leg carries an old injury. The predators notice. The herd notices. The injured animal knows. There is no cruelty in what follows. Cruelty requires a choice to cause suffering. This is hunger, muscle answering emptiness, life consuming life because no other path exists. One predator moves closer. The herd tightens. The injured animal struggles to remain inside the moving wall of bodies. For several minutes, survival is measured in steps. One more, then one more, then one more. The predator accelerates. The herd breaks into panic. The forest erupts. Bodies crash through vegetation. Mud explodes beneath their feet. Young animals cry out. The injured Edmontosaurus loses balance and falls against a tree. The trunk shakes. The predator closes the distance. And then the ground moves. Not from footsteps, not from the herd. A low vibration passes through the earth. It is weak. Almost nothing, but every animal stops, even the predator. For one breath, hunter and prey stand beneath the same trembling leaves. The vibration fades. No one understands it. There is no reason to. Earthquakes are not unknown in this world. The continents are never truly still. Far beneath the surface, stone bends, fractures, and moves. Mountains rise. Oceans open. Volcanoes release the planet's hidden heat. The dinosaurs live on a restless earth. A single tremor means little. The predator turns back toward the fallen animal. The hunt resumes, but the moment remains. A brief reminder that every struggle on the surface takes place upon forces far greater than the creatures involved. By afternoon, clouds gather near the horizon. Tall formations rise above the distant wetlands, dark at their bases and brilliant at their edges. Thunderstorms are common in this climate. Warm air climbs, moisture condenses, rain falls with sudden violence. Storms feed the rivers and reshape the floodplains. They are destroyers and creators at once. The first distant thunder rolls across the land. Several animals lift their heads. This sound is understood. Rain, wind, shelter, a familiar danger. The herd changes direction toward higher ground. The surviving predator drags its meal into cover. The Triceratops and its young move beneath the protection of thick trees. Life responds. This is what life does best. It reads the world and changes with it. But the coming threat will arrive too quickly for adaptation. Evolution works through generations. The asteroid will change the planet in hours. Rain begins in scattered drops. Each one strikes a broad leaf with a hollow sound. Then the sky opens. Water falls in sheets. Dust becomes mud. Dry channels fill. The heat breaks beneath the storm. For a time, the forest is hidden behind silver rain. The world seems cleansed, renewed. The young Edmontosaurus from the river stands beneath its mother's body, sheltered from the worst of the downpour. Water runs along the adult's back. The juvenile presses close. It feels the warmth of living flesh, the steady movement of breath, the familiar safety of a body that has protected it since birth. There is no awareness of endings here, only shelter, only rain, only the belief that closeness can keep death away. In ordinary times, it often can. The storm moves quickly. Sunlight returns through gaps in the clouds. Drops fall from the canopy long after the rain has passed. The forest begins speaking again. Insects emerge. Birds call. Small animals leave cover. The world appears to have corrected itself, but above the atmosphere, the asteroid has entered the final stretch of its journey. Hours remain, not days. The distance between the object and Earth is still enormous by the scale of life below, but by the scale of space, the separation is disappearing. Soon, the planet fills the asteroid's path. Oceans become visible. Cloud systems stretch across the blue surface. The world appears peaceful, fragile, entire. Nothing about its appearance reveals what is about to happen. That is the nature of approaching catastrophe. From a distance, everything still looks whole. The afternoon light becomes golden. Steam rises from wet ground. The animals return to feeding. The river carries leaves, branches, and disturbed soil downstream. Near the bank, a turtle climbs onto a fallen trunk and rests beneath the fading warmth. A dragonfly settles beside it. The smallest scenes continue. They always do. History remembers impact craters, extinctions, and the collapse of ecosystems. It rarely remembers the ordinary life that existed between those events. A creature drinking, a parent standing beside its young, sunlight on wet leaves. The world before disaster is never made only of grand moments. It is made of details no one thinks to preserve. The Edmontosaurus herd reaches an open rise above the floodplain. From here, the land stretches toward a distant horizon. Forests, rivers, shallow lakes reflecting the sky. A world without roads, without smoke from cities, without any sign that another species will one day dig into these rocks and give names to the dead. The herd pauses. Some begin feeding, others rest. The young animal steps away from its mother and looks toward the open sky. There is something there now. Not visible as a shape, not yet, only a brightness. A point so small that it could be mistaken for a star appearing before sunset. But stars do not move this way. They do not grow brighter against the day. The animal watches for a moment, then lowers its head. It cannot understand distance measured in millions of kilometers. It cannot imagine a rock larger than a mountain crossing the void. Its brain evolved to recognize teeth, claws, water, shelter, and the voices of its herd. The universe has no place in its instincts. Neither does extinction. Across the landscape, other animals look upward. Perhaps they see the same point. Perhaps they notice only the unusual light. There is no panic. Why would there be? The sky has always been beyond reach. Untouchable. A place of sun, moon, cloud, and flight. Whatever appears there seems distant by nature. Harmless because it is high. But height is not safety. Distance is not mercy. The asteroid continues forward. Its speed is now measured in tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. When it reaches the atmosphere, the air itself will resist. Not enough to stop it. Nothing on Earth can stop it. The atmosphere will compress before the object, heating to extraordinary temperatures. The sky will ignite around it. For a few seconds, the asteroid will become brighter than anything alive has ever seen. But that moment has not arrived. The sun sinks lower. The point of light remains. One of the pterosaurs circles high above the floodplain. Its long wings tilt against the evening air. It turns toward the unfamiliar brightness. For a moment, the ruler of the Cretaceous sky and the destroyer of the Cretaceous world occupy the same view. One alive, one lifeless, one carried by air, the other carried by gravity. The pterosaur glides away. The light remains. Shadows lengthen across the ground. The herd gathers closer as evening approaches. Predators begin to move again beneath the trees. Small mammals prepare to leave their burrows. Nocturnal insects rise from the undergrowth. The change from day to night begins, as it has countless times before. But the familiar cycle is now running out of repetitions. There will be another sunrise, but it will rise over a wounded world. There will be more nights, but many will pass beneath skies empty of stars. There will still be life, but never again this life. The young Edmontosaurus settles beside its mother. The adult lowers its body carefully to the ground. Around them, the herd rests in loose circles, protected by numbers and watchful eyes. Some remain standing, some feed in the fading light, others sleep. The juvenile closes its eyes. It has survived the river, the predator, the storm. Every danger it understood has passed. Above the herd, the first stars appear, and among them one point burns too brightly. It is no longer only traveling toward Earth, it is falling into it. The distance collapses, the hours vanish. The silent visitor has almost reached the door, and below, beneath a sky beginning to glow with its arrival, an entire world prepares to sleep. Night settles over the floodplain. The heat leaves the upper air first, but the earth holds it. Warm mist rises from the river. Leaves drip in the darkness. The forest changes its voice. Daytime calls disappear. Others take their place. Small hunters move beneath ferns. Insects pulse through the air. Creatures that survive by remaining unseen begin their brief possession of the world. The young Edmontosaurus sleeps against its mother's side. Its breathing is slow. Its legs twitch with movements that belong to dreams no fossil can preserve. Perhaps it runs. Perhaps it hears the herd. Perhaps animals do not dream in stories at all. Whatever passes through its sleeping mind, the future is absent. Above the trees, the unfamiliar light grows. It no longer resembles a star. It is brighter, larger, a white wound in the darkness. Some animals wake. They stare upward, not with understanding, but with the alert stillness that comes when the world presents something without a name. The pterosaurs are among the first to move. Shapes detach from distant trees and rise into the night. Their wings beat heavily until air catches beneath them. They circle, turn, scatter. The sky that carried them all their lives has become strange. Across the floodplain, the herd begins to stand. One adult calls, another answers. The young are pushed inward. There is still no single reason to flee, no scent of a predator, no advancing fire, no rising water, only light. Yet the light continues to grow. Far to the south, above a shallow tropical sea, the asteroid enters the upper atmosphere. The first contact is invisible. Air molecules strike its surface, then more, then billions. At the asteroid's speed, the atmosphere cannot move aside gently. It is compressed, heated, ionized. The darkness around the object becomes fire. A column of incandescent gas forms in its wake. The sky is no longer receiving a visitor. It is being torn open. From the ground, the light expands with terrifying speed. Night becomes a false day. Shadows sharpen beneath every tree. The river flashes silver. The eyes of thousands of animals reflect a brightness they have never known. The herd calls erupt at once. Deep voices overlap. Young animals cry out. Bodies collide in confusion. Predators forget hunger. Prey forget direction. Every instinct gives the same command. Move, but move where? The danger is above everything. The young Edmontosaurus rises too quickly and falls. Its mother turns, pushing against it with her snout. Around them, the herd begins to run. Not as one body now, as hundreds of frightened lives. The juvenile regains its feet. It follows the nearest adult, then loses sight of its mother as larger bodies close around it. The light intensifies. The forest no longer has shadows. Every leaf is visible. Every scale, every feather, every frightened eye. For a brief moment, the world is exposed completely. Then the asteroid reaches the lower atmosphere. It does not slow in any meaningful way. The distance to the sea vanishes. The object strikes near the edge of the Yucatan platform. There is no sound at first, not here. Sound is slower than light, slower than destruction. At the point of impact, the sea does not splash. It ceases to exist. Water flashes into vapor. Rock behaves like liquid. The asteroid drives into the crust with enough force to excavate a wound, roughly 200 kilometers across. For an instant, temperatures near the impact rise beyond anything the surface of Earth is meant to hold. Stone melts, stone vaporizes. A towering mixture of plasma, gas, pulverized rock and debris expands upward and outward. The asteroid itself is destroyed, but destruction is not disappearance. Its matter joins the Earth. A traveler born in the darkness becomes part of the world it has killed. The crust rebounds beneath the crater. Mountains of broken rock rise and collapse within minutes. A ring forms around the wound. The first day of a new age begins before the old one understands it has ended. Near the impact, there is no survival. Forests vanish. Water becomes steam. Living bodies are erased before pain can become thought. Farther away, the blast expands across the land and sea. The atmosphere is pushed outward like a wall. The ocean is displaced. The ground convulses. Earthquakes of unimaginable force radiate through the crust. In the northern floodplain, the light remains for several seconds after impact. The animals keep running. The young Edmontosaurus finds its mother again. She moves beside it, her body shielding it from the crush of the herd. Neither knows what has happened. The end has already occurred. Its consequences are still traveling toward them. The first sign is the earth. A vibration enters through the feet. Then another. The ground rolls. Trees sway without wind. Water leaps from shallow pools. The herd loses balance. Large bodies fall and struggle to rise. Cracks open in wet soil. The riverbank collapses in sections, carrying mud, roots, and animals into the water. The young Edmontosaurus is thrown sideways. Its mother remains standing for one more step. Then the ground shifts beneath her weight. She falls hard enough to shake the earth already shaking around her. The juvenile returns. It presses against her neck. She moves, still alive, still trying to rise. The world does not allow it. Another wave passes through the ground. Trees split, branches fall. The river changes direction for a moment, then surges back. Burrows collapse. Cliffs fail. Across enormous distances, animals experience the planet beneath them becoming unfamiliar. Then the sound arrives. It begins below hearing. A pressure in the body, a weight in the air. The river surface trembles. Leaves lift from the ground, and the sky produces a roar too large to resemble thunder. It is not heard only through the ears. It passes through muscle and bone. It compresses the lungs. It turns the entire atmosphere into an instrument of violence. The shock wave races outward from the crater. Nearer the impact, it has already flattened forests and shattered coastlines. Here, weakened by distance but still immense, it reaches the floodplain as a moving wall. The first trees bend, then break. Dust rises from the ground. The herd is struck from the south. Animals are lifted, rolled, or driven into one another. The juvenile disappears beneath leaves and mud. Its mother vanishes behind a storm of branches. For several seconds there is no world, only pressure. Darkness, movement, then stillness, not peace, shock. The young Edmontosaurus lies beneath a fallen branch. One leg is trapped. Its chest rises quickly. Blood runs from a wound along its side. It calls. The sound is small beneath the roar moving away across the north. No answer comes. It calls again. Nearby, shapes move through dust. Some stand, some cannot. The herd has become scattered bodies and isolated voices. The juvenile pulls against the branch. The wood shifts. Its leg comes free. It rises unsteadily. The mother is nowhere in sight. Across the landscape, the adult Triceratops has survived the first wave. Its young stands beside it, trembling. The adult's body is cut by flying debris. One horn is broken. Still, it positions itself between the calf and the southern sky. Protection remains its only answer. The Tyrannosaurus emerges from the trees, not hunting, bleeding, confused. The old order has collapsed. Predator and prey stand within sight of each other and do nothing. For the first time in their lives, there is something greater than fear between them. There is astonishment. Above, the bright column rising from the distant impact spreads into the upper atmosphere. Debris has been launched beyond the sky. Some fragments travel on paths that will carry them around the planet. Others begin falling back. The atmosphere fills with particles of melted and vaporized rock. Tiny droplets cool into glass. Larger fragments glow as they descend. The sky is about to return part of the Earth to itself. The sea near the impact has been pushed away from the crater. A vast cavity forms and collapses. Water rushes back, meets rising rock and falling debris, then surges outward as waves. Not one wave, a planetary disturbance. Near the Gulf, walls of water rise to extraordinary heights. They tear across coastlines that no longer resemble coastlines. They carry shattered forests, rock, and living things inland. Farther away, the ocean carries the energy across entire basins. The waves will travel for hours. Some will cross oceans. The catastrophe is no longer a point on a map. It is becoming global. On the floodplain, the first falling fragments appear. A line of light crosses the sky, then another, then hundreds. It resembles a meteor storm. Beautiful, at first. The surviving animals look upward. Glowing particles multiply until the darkness between them disappears. The sky begins to radiate heat, not from the impact itself, from debris re-entering the atmosphere across vast regions of the planet. The upper air burns with countless falling fragments. Leaves dry, moisture steams from bark. The animals feel warmth against their backs, then pain. The young Edmontosaurus stops calling. It moves toward the river, driven by an instinct older than fear. Water means safety from heat. Other survivors move the same way. A Triceratops, small feathered dinosaurs, turtles already near the bank, mammals escaping collapsed burrows. Predators and prey converge without order. The heat grows. Some places on Earth will burn more severely than others. The exact reach of the fires will remain debated long after humanity learns to read the boundary in stone. But here, dry material ignites. First, a fallen branch, then leaf litter, then resin in a broken conifer. Flame climbs, wind from the passing shockwave feeds it. A line of fire moves through the forest. The Edmontosaurus reaches the river. The bank is broken. The water is thick with debris. It enters anyway. Its injured leg nearly fails beneath it. The current pulls. The animal struggles deeper until only its head and upper back remain above the surface. Around it, others enter. Some are carried away. Some drown. Some remain half submerged as heat passes overhead. The adult Triceratops reaches the shallows with its calf. The water is not deep enough to cover them. The adult stands over the young. Ash begins to fall. The Tyrannosaurus remains farther back. Its size, once its greatest power, has become a burden. It moves through smoke toward open water. Flames spread behind it. The sky glows red. The forest roars. And still, the young Edmontosaurus searches for its mother. Every time a large shape moves through the smoke, it calls. Every time, the answer belongs to someone else. There is no understanding of death as an idea. Only absence, a missing scent, a missing voice, a place beside the body that should not be empty. The river surface grows hot beneath falling debris. Small fish die first. Insects strike the water and do not rise. The animals remain because the land is worse. Minutes pass, or perhaps an hour. Time loses meaning inside catastrophe. The brightest re-entry fades. The sky darkens, but not into ordinary night. Smoke, dust, and rising ejecta fill the air. The sun is hidden. The fires remain visible through the darkness. The juvenile leaves the river. Its skin is blistered in places. Mud covers the wounds. The forest it knew is gone. Trees lie across one another. Familiar paths have disappeared. Bodies rest among broken branches. Some still breathe. Most do not move. The animal walks, not toward safety, toward memory. It follows fragments of scent through smoke, a place where the herd rested, a tree marked by feeding, a path used earlier that day. The world has changed faster than the mind can change with it. So the mind continues searching for what used to be there. At the top of the rise, the juvenile finds part of the herd. Several adults stand close together. A few young animals remain among them. Many are missing. One adult calls into the darkness. The sound travels through smoke. No answer returns. The young Edmontosaurus joins the survivors. It presses against a body that is not its mother's. The adult allows it to remain. A herd is memory moving as one. Now it must become grief moving as one. Far to the south, the crater continues to transform. Broken rock falls back into the wound. Water returns in violent surges. Layers of material accumulate with astonishing speed. Within the first day, enormous deposits settle inside the crater. The geological record begins writing the event while the event is still happening. Melted rock cools. Tsunami waters move debris. Charcoal and soil wash into the basin. In time, scientists will drill into these layers and find hours preserved as stone. But no core sample will contain the terror. No mineral will remember the sound. No chemical signature will reveal the moment a living animal searched for its mother beneath a burning sky. Night continues. The stars do not return. The moon is hidden. The fires create their own horizon. Across the world, the first wave of death is immediate. Near the crater, life has been erased. Across coastlines, tsunamis destroy habitats and carry seawater far inland. In other regions, earthquakes trigger landslides and surges. Falling debris burns through the atmosphere. Yet the extinction itself is not completed in a single night. The asteroid has struck. The greater disaster is only beginning. The planet now carries dust, soot, sulfur-bearing gases, and pulverized rock high above the weather. Some particles will fall within hours. Others will remain. Sunlight will weaken. Temperatures will drop. Plants will struggle to turn light into life. Food chains will fail from the bottom upward. The giants have survived impact. Many have survived fire. But no animal can outrun the disappearance of food. Morning should come soon. The survivors feel the rhythm of time within their bodies. Birds wait for light. Plants wait for warmth. The herd waits for the darkness to thin. But when the hour of sunrise arrives, the eastern sky barely changes. There is only a dull gray behind smoke. The sun exists somewhere beyond it, invisible. The first morning after the end begins without dawn. The Edmontosaurus herd moves. They leave the burned rise and search for unbroken vegetation. The young animal follows. Its wounds stiffen. Its stomach is empty. The adults know routes toward feeding grounds. They move by memory. But memory belongs to yesterday's world. Everywhere they go, leaves are burned, buried, or coated in ash. Branches that still carry green growth taste of dust. The herd tears at them anyway. Hunger does not wait for conditions to improve. The Triceratops calf remains beside the adult. The broken horn no longer matters. The wounds no longer matter. They walk through ash toward a low valley where plants once grew thick. The valley is black. The calf searches beneath fallen material. It finds roots, chews, swallows dirt with them. The adult stands guard over an enemy that cannot be charged. The Tyrannosaurus follows the scent of death. For a predator and scavenger, the first days appear generous. Bodies lie across the landscape. Food requires no hunt. The animal feeds. So do smaller carnivores. So do insects. For a moment, death supports life. But abundance born from catastrophe is brief. When the bodies are gone, nothing will replace them. The sky remains dark. Rain begins. At first, the survivors lift their heads. Water has always meant renewal, but this rain carries the atmosphere's chemistry back to the surface. It stings damaged skin. It enters rivers filled with ash. It washes soot from leaves and pushes debris into channels. In some regions, the rain becomes strongly acidic. Not every drop is lethal. Not every pool becomes poison. But a stressed world receives another wound. Days pass. The difference between day and night becomes uncertain. Sometimes the darkness lifts enough to reveal a pale circle where the sun should be. Then clouds close again. Temperatures begin to fall. This world was warm. Its animals are adapted to seasonal changes, but not to sunlight collapsing across the planet. The young Edmontosaurus feels cold for the first time as something more than weather. It feels it as a condition of the world. The herd moves constantly. Movement creates warmth. Movement also consumes energy. Every decision now takes from a body that cannot easily replace what it spends. The adults tear bark. They dig for roots. They strip surviving branches. The young imitate them. Food remains, but less each day. The forest does not regrow. The leaves that survived begin to fall. Plants cannot live indefinitely without light. Some species endure in seeds, roots, and spores. Many adult plants do not. Across continents, forests thin or vanish. Ferns will later spread across devastated ground, among the first plants to reclaim enormous damaged regions. But before recovery comes emptiness. The ocean suffers in silence. Near the surface, microscopic organisms depend on sunlight. They form the foundation beneath immense marine food webs. As light fades, primary production collapses in many places. Small bodies disappear. Then larger bodies that fed upon them weaken. Ammonites, whose ancestors survived earlier extinctions, reach the end of their long history. Marine reptiles search waters where familiar prey becomes scarce. Reefs fail. The darkness enters the sea through hunger. Not all ecosystems collapse in the same way. Not all creatures face equal odds. In freshwater environments, food chains supported by decaying material may continue longer than those dependent entirely on fresh plant growth. Dead leaves, wood, and organic matter become stores of energy. Animals able to feed on detritus, seeds, insects, carrion, or almost anything gain time. Burrowing protects some from heat and cold. Small bodies need less food. Dormancy stretches limited resources. Flexibility becomes more valuable than power. The world that favored giants begins rewarding those who can survive on little. One night, though night has become only a deeper darkness, the small mammals leave their shelter. The surface is cold. Ash lies over everything. They move cautiously through fallen vegetation. One finds a seed buried beneath mud. Another finds insects inside decaying wood. A third feeds from the remains of a larger animal. None of this resembles victory. They are hungry. Injured. Many of their kind are already dead. Mammals do not escape the extinction untouched. Birds do not escape untouched. Reptiles, amphibians, fish, and insects suffer enormous losses. Survival is not the same as safety. It is simply the continuation of breath. Weeks pass. The young Edmontosaurus becomes thinner. Its injuries begin to close, but healing requires energy. The herd has lost more members. One adult stops walking. The others continue. There is no ceremony, no grave, no time for mourning. The young animal pauses beside the fallen body. It recognizes the scent, not its mother. Still, someone known. The herd calls from ahead. The juvenile follows. Attachment must yield to movement. The Triceratops calf no longer walks beside the adult. The two reached a frozen stream after days of searching. The calf lay down. The adult remained. It nudged the smaller body, waited, guarded it against scavengers. For hours, perhaps longer, the adult refused to leave. Then hunger made the decision. The Triceratops walked into the darkness alone. Strength could stop teeth. It could not force life back into a body. The Tyrannosaurus survives longer. Its size allows it to travel. Its senses lead it toward carrion. Its powerful jaws break bones that still contain nourishment. But the body that once dominated the landscape demands enormous energy. The dead become fewer. Other scavengers compete for what remains. Wounds become infected. Cold slows movement. The predator walks through the skeleton of its kingdom. No herds fill the floodplain. No pterosaurs circle above. No territorial calls answer from the forest. Power has become an echo. One gray day, the Tyrannosaurus finds the Edmontosaurus herd. There are fewer than 20 now. The predator watches from a distance. The old relationship briefly returns. Hunter, prey. The adults gather. The young move inward. The Tyrannosaurus steps forward, then stops. Its legs tremble. The distance is too great. The effort too costly. It turns away. The herd does not pursue. There is no triumph in the predator's weakness, only shared exhaustion. The age of dinosaurs is not ending as a single dramatic battle. It is ending as bodies run out of possibilities. Months may pass beneath the impact winter. The exact darkness, cooling, and duration vary by model and by region, because the ancient atmosphere preserved no complete diary. But the broad truth remains. The impact placed enough material into the atmosphere to disrupt sunlight and climate across the world. Photosynthesis weakened. Food webs broke. The extinction moved through ecosystems like a slow collapse of invisible architecture. First the foundation, then everything built upon it. The young Edmontosaurus sees the sun again, not clearly. A pale light appears behind thinning haze. For a moment, warmth touches the floodplain. The animal raises its head. Others do the same. The world is not restored, but light has returned enough to create shadows. The herd stands within them, smaller than before, silent. The juvenile is no longer a juvenile in the way it was on the final morning. Time has passed. Its body carries scars. Its eyes search constantly. It has learned a new world, faster than any creature should be forced to learn. The light reveals the landscape. Black trunks, open ground, shallow water, ferns beginning to appear among ash. Life is returning, but return does not mean rescue. The growing plants cannot feed every survivor. The ecosystem no longer has the complexity that supported animals of enormous size. The Edmontosaurus lowers its head and eats the new growth. For a few minutes, hunger becomes quieter. The herd continues moving. There may be other valleys, other patches of surviving vegetation, other herds. Life depends on believing what cannot be seen. The old instinct returns. One more step, then one more, then one more. But the fossil record tells the ending, No non-avian dinosaur crosses the boundary into the new world. Some may survive the first day, some the first weeks. Perhaps isolated populations persist longer in favorable places. The exact final individual leaves no named grave. There is no last dinosaur preserved with the knowledge of being last. Extinction does not require every member of a species to die at once. It requires births to fail, populations to shrink, habitats to disappear, one generation unable to replace itself, then another, until absence becomes permanent. The young Edmontosaurus walks beyond the reach of any story stone can confirm. Perhaps it falls beside a river. Perhaps illness takes it. Perhaps hunger. Perhaps a predator survives long enough for one final hunt. Its bones may scatter, dissolve, break beneath roots, never fossilize. Most lives leave no record. That does not make them less real. The animal lived through the final morning. It saw the sky burn. It searched for its mother. It walked beneath a sunless world. And for as long as its heart continued, the age of dinosaurs was not yet entirely over. Then somewhere, on some unnamed day, the last heartbeat of a non-avian dinosaur stops. No thunder follows. No boundary appears in the air. The world does not announce the end of an era. It simply becomes a place where that heartbeat will never be heard again. Silence takes the spaces giants once filled. But the earth is not dead. Beneath the ash, seeds wait. Spores travel. Roots remain alive underground. Freshwater systems continue carrying organic matter. Crocodilians endure in rivers and wetlands. Turtles survive. Amphibians persist. Fish move beneath dark water. Birds, the only dinosaurs to cross into the future, shelter their inheritance inside small feathered bodies. Some can eat seeds that remain after green leaves disappear. Some live near water. Some do not depend on the forest canopy that has collapsed. Many bird lineages vanish. A few continue. Every sparrow that will one day land on a city pavement carries the surviving shape of this ancient world. The mammals emerge more often. At first, nothing about them suggests destiny. They remain small, they hide, they search, they reproduce. Their survival is uneven and costly, but the ecological walls that contained them are gone. The great herbivores no longer consume entire landscapes. The giant predators no longer occupy every upper level of the food web. Empty roles spread across the recovering earth. Nature does not preserve vacancies out of respect. It fills them. Years pass. The dust settles. Sunlight strengthens. Rain falls through a clearer atmosphere. Ferns cover disturbed ground in vast numbers. Later, forests return. Not the same forests. A new assembly. A new balance. The first ecosystems of the Paleocene rise from the remains of the Cretaceous. The crater itself cools. Water fills parts of the enormous basin. Beneath the surface, heat drives a hydrothermal system through shattered rock. Even the wound becomes habitat. Microbial life colonizes places created by catastrophe. Earth does not heal by returning to what it was. It heals by becoming something else. Thousands of years pass, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. Mammals diversify into forms the dinosaurs never encountered. Some climb, some burrow, some return to water, some grow large. Predators rise again. Herbivores reshape vegetation. The world rebuilds complexity one generation at a time. No creature knows why the sky belongs to it. No mammal remembers the asteroid. Inheritance does not require memory. The consequences are carried in opportunity. Around 66 million years after the impact, another mammal stands beneath the sky. It looks upward. It asks questions. It digs into rock. It finds a thin boundary enriched with iridium, an element uncommon in Earth's crust, but more abundant in many asteroids. It finds shocked minerals, tiny glassy spherules, a global layer marking a moment when one geological age ended and another began. It discovers a buried crater beneath the Yucatan Peninsula, a scar nearly 200 kilometers wide. The evidence converges. The sky had fallen. Humanity reconstructs the event from fragments. Equations estimate speed and energy. Drill cores reveal the first hours inside the crater. Sediments preserve tsunamis. Fossils record sudden disappearance. Climate models explore dust, soot, sulfur, aerosols, darkness, cooling, and the failure of photosynthesis. Each discovery brings the ancient day into sharper focus. But knowledge creates a strange distance. Numbers can become too large to feel. 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers per second, 200 kilometers of crater, 75% of species. The mind hears scale and protects itself by turning catastrophe into abstraction. So return once more to the river, not as a scientist, not as a human safe behind 66 million years. Return as a witness. The morning is warm. Mist rests over the water. An Edmontosaurus herd emerges from the forest. A young animal stays close to its mother. A Triceratops watches the trees. A Tyrannosaurus waits in shadow. Pterosaurs cross the sun. Small mammals hide beneath roots. Every life is ordinary to itself. Every breath expects another. Above them, an ancient object moves through darkness. It has no purpose, no message, no anger, and yet its path will remove the rulers of the world. It will darken the sky, break food chains, empty forests, end lineages older than humanity can easily imagine. It will also create openings, not intentionally, not mercifully. The asteroid does not make room for mammals as a gift. Mass extinction has no heroes, no chosen survivors. It is loss on a scale so vast that evolution can only begin again among those left behind. Human existence is not the reason the dinosaurs died, but without their disappearance, the path leading to humanity would almost certainly have been different, perhaps impossible. Every person who has ever watched a sunrise belongs in part to the world that followed that impact. Every city, every language, every memory, every question asked about the past. None were written into the asteroid. They emerged from contingency, from survival, from the ability of life to continue without knowing what it would become. That is the deepest truth preserved by the last day of the dinosaurs. The Earth is not permanent in the ways life imagines. Its continents move, its climate changes, its species rise and vanish. The most powerful animals in history can inherit a planet for millions of years and still lose it in a single day. Dominance is not protection. Size is not permanence. Tomorrow is not a law. And yet extinction is not the opposite of life. It is part of life's history, a brutal clearing of possibility. After the silence, something moves. A seed opens, a bird calls, a small mammal steps into the light. The world begins again, not because it has forgotten what happened, but because the living do not need permission from the dead. The crater remains beneath younger stone. The boundary remains in cliffs and cores. The descendants of surviving dinosaurs move through modern skies, and the mammals that once hid beneath roots now study the stars, searching for other wandering mountains in the dark. For the first time in Earth's history, a species can see such a danger before it arrives. It can calculate an orbit, measure a threat, perhaps even change a path. The dinosaurs had no warning, no telescope, no language for what was coming, only a bright point in the sky, only a final evening, only the instinct to stay close when the world became strange. Remember them that way, not as skeletons, not as monsters, not as failures of evolution. Remember them alive. Warm blood moving beneath skin, feet sinking into river mud, calls traveling through mist, parents sheltering their young, predators judging distance, birds lifting from branches, a whole world experiencing itself as present, never knowing it would become the past. The last day of the dinosaurs was also the first day of everything that followed. A wound became a boundary became a beginning. And from the darkness left behind by giants, the smallest survivors carried life forward, not toward us, not for us, simply forward. That was enough. Because life does not need to know the future to create it. It only needs one more breath, one more seed, one more heartbeat hidden beneath the ruins. And somewhere after the fires, after the cold, after the long darkness, morning returned. The sun touched a changed earth. A small animal emerged from shelter. It paused at the entrance, listened, smelled the air, then stepped into a world without giants. The age of dinosaurs was over. The age that would one day lead to us had begun. And the sky, silent once more, kept the memory of how quickly everything could change.